Welcome, everybody. It is a pleasure to be with you. I do hope that I will get some views, unlike the rest of my videos on my channel. I am Chris, and this is Real Big Ten Football Talk Plus One with Chris. The plus one means that I will pick one game outside of the Big Ten Conference each week that I find interesting or a big name matchup. This week, I'll just give you a preview. It will be the Red River Shootout. That's right. It is going to be about number 19, Texas, against number 7, Oklahoma. But I'm not going to talk about that game at the moment. This is my first video of this series, so I do want to talk a little bit about myself here, just give you a little background of who I am, where I came from, and why I love Big Ten football. A little backstory, I grew up in Big Ten country. Won't tell you what state. I don't want you to think I'll have a hometown bias or anything. I want to be as objective as I can be with this. So, I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, worked on Harriers, loved them, loved people, loved the culture. Then, after I think 3 years, I ended up, I went to Iraq, right? Didn't get hurt. It was actually you can call it safe, a safe part of Iraq. Al-Assad. I don't know if anybody or any of you that know or are familiar with that area. At least at the time I was in there in mid to late 07 to April of 08. It wasn't really much. It was just there, pretty much. So I was there. I didn't get hurt at all. Came back to the States. Not even 4 months later, it was July, I remember it was July, I ended up playing some basketball with buddies of mine, tore my ACL. Had to have surgery, of course, couldn't run anymore. Surgery was okay, but following surgery, I got depressed, I couldn't run, so I ate, and I got fat, and couldn't run anymore. My knee wasn't great, so I had to leave, which was unfortunate. So I came back to this, I was separated from the Marine Corps in 2010. Since then, I've just been really, like probably a lot of people that are out there that are not big YouTube celebrities. I went to work. I've been working ever since for the last 8 years in different jobs. So, I like to think I'm Chris Everyman, you can say, because most of you that are going to be watching my videos are just like me. We're all working stiffs. So I want this video to be tailored towards working stiffs. Not the glamour and flashy of, say, the different, I won't mention any channels, but the different channels on TV we can think of. I don't even have access to a camera at the moment, so that's why you're going to be looking at slideshows for the foreseeable future. Maybe if I get enough fans and I get enough people asking me to do a face reveal, I might do that, but that won't be today. So, yes, now the actual football thing. Like I said, I grew up in Big Ten country, so that's why I'm a big Big Ten fan. I grew up loving it. I love the rough and tumble, hard-nosed, blue-collar type of football. But I also have love for the SEC for that same reason, because Big Ten, they're the classic rivalries. They're the Ohio State and Michigan, the Iowa and Minnesota, the Wisconsin and Michigan State. You have all these big-name rivalries within the Big Ten. Just like the SEC with the Iron Bowl and Florida and Georgia, LSU and Arkansas, you have those classic rivalry games in those two conferences because they are storied conferences. And that's why I love the Big Ten. I like the SEC. But today and throughout, I will be talking mostly Big Ten football. I will choose 3 to 4 Big Ten matchups that are interesting, or at least between teams that have winning records, like this week. So the first game we're going to talk about will be will be number 3 Ohio State facing Indiana. It will be in Columbus. Now with this game, I've been watching Big Ten football for many years. This game, at least for the last few years, has always been about Indiana plays Ohio State tough in the first half, and then they fall apart in the second half. But those of you that may follow Ohio State football know Ohio State seems to be a team of second half adjustments, which they have been this year, especially against TCU and Penn State. So, if it turns out to be the same story this year, then it will end up being Indiana plays Ohio State tough in the first half and they fall apart in the second half. History is not on Indiana's side in this game. I've done some research on this series. Last time Indiana beat Ohio State, period, was in 1990. Okay? So it's been a thorough domination of Ohio State at that time, or throughout the last 20 and some odd years. So history's not on Indiana's side. But if this year has taught us anything, like with Kentucky beating Florida in the swamp for the first time since 77, I think it was. I apologize, I have the date wrong. But it's a long time. So that could sort of work in Indiana's favor as far as this seems to be the year of firsts in a long time for some teams. Like Kansas beating Central Michigan on the road. The first time Kansas beat a non-conference opponent on the road since I think 2009. Central Michigan, no offense to the Chippewas, but it's not a Power 5 opponent. But still, that's something. So you could make the argument that Indiana has a chance just from that aspect. And Indiana is 4-1. They're unranked. And if we look at the two team schedules here in a minute, you'll kind of understand why, in a way, but not to disparage those teams they played. But by and large, they were not powerful, hard-nosed, classic, strike spear into the hearts of their opponents types of teams. But I'm not going to say Indiana can't beat Ohio State either. I'm not going to say Ohio State's going to dominate them. I'll give you my pick later on the video. I'm just saying that I do think Indiana could have a puncher's chance. But you look at the paper, you look at the stats, you look at the history, you look at the ranks. Ohio State's number 3, playing Indiana in Columbus. Just looking at it from just that perspective, it's not in Indiana's favor. We'll just say that. Now looking at the schedules, who they've played. You see on the left, Ohio State's schedule, on the right, Indiana's. Ohio State was not impressive on defense against Oregon State, a team that has not done horribly well on offense since they played the Buckeyes. Yes, the Buckeyes scored 77 points. That's wonderful. What I'm looking at in that game is their defense gave up 31 points to an inferior opponent. No offense to the Beavers. Indiana, their defense gave up 28 points to to also an inferior opponent. And Indiana played them on the road. Florida International. Again, no offense to the Golden Panthers. But you look at that side of it. You look at the defense that Indiana's played with. The only game they've given up, as you can see, more than 30 points, was in the loss that they suffered at the hands of Michigan State. But that is a detracting factor because it's the only ranked team Indiana's played, and they played them in Bloomington, and they lost. The next game for Ohio State, you see, they only give up 3 points to a conference opponent in Rutgers. And Rutgers has scored some points this year since that game before it. So that is an impressive win for their defense and their offense. Then TCU. Buckeye fans may not like it when I say this part. They got lucky. Ohio State got lucky in that game because TCU fell apart at the end of the game. The wheels came off and Ohio State took advantage of it. Now, I apologize, I didn't bring up the stats for that game specifically, but I watched it, and what I saw of that game, I remember TCU was dominating in the first half. Second half, Ohio State blocked a punt. They got a pick 6, mind you. They blocked the punt, recovered it in the end zone. 14 quick points, courtesy of their defense. And Ohio State didn't turn the ball over in that game. They committed, I don't know how many penalties they committed, but they didn't commit that many. Those two things, in addition to their defense playing well, helped them win that game. But they were lucky. If TCU wouldn't have turned the ball over those times, they would have just played smart, sound, mistake-free football, I believe Golden Frogs would have won that game. And it wasn't a true road test. It was on neutral site, and I use quotation fingers when I say that. Arlington, Texas. Okay, yeah. Neutral site, but still, you're in TCU's backyard. They play in Fort Worth. It's not very far away. But it was an impressive victory nonetheless for Ohio State. Indiana. Really the most impressive victory they've had was against Virginia, which Virginia I believe is 2-3, now we're 2-2. An FBS Power 5 opponent, yes, but it wasn't Clemson, wasn't Virginia Tech, wasn't Florida State, it was Virginia. Not a bad team, not a great team, more of a middle of the pack type of team, which is why I think Indiana is in the Big Ten. So I guess it was a pretty good victory looking at it in those terms. Then who did Indiana play during the week? Ohio State played TCU, Ball State, a team they know very well and they've demolished over the years. It's a MAC school. And then you look at Ohio State's schedule after TCU. Hammered Tulane. They've done a good job of dominating inferior opponents, which, yeah, it sounds funny, but, well, so many good teams aren't able to win the games they're supposed to win. They struggle when they lose to some random team that they should have beaten by a lot. And then the Penn State game. I have to give Ohio State a lot of credit. They dealt with a whole lot of adversity in that game. After Penn State went up 26 to 4, 26 to, oh my goodness, I can't remember what the score was now. Isn't that horrible? Well, I remember at one point Penn State was up, I believe, by 14 points. When they went by 14 points, I thought the game was over. I'll be honest. I had to go work the next day. I considered turning the TV off and going to bed. Well, I'm glad I didn't, because Ohio State came back in a big way. And they beat Penn State in Happy Valley 27-26. Did they play dominant? Did they strike fear into the hearts of Penn State? No. They got lucky again. But in football, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Like Al Davis once said, just win, baby. They just won, baby. They beat Penn State in Happy Valley in a whiteout, primetime game. ESPN was there. All the fans screaming and hollering and making it horrible for the Ohio State's offense to progress. But they did progress. Dwayne Haskins did play good football in the second half. He made the throws. He made the plays when he had to. His running game was better in the second half with Weber and Dobbins. They did a better job in that second half. Indiana hasn't had to face adversity. The only game they had to face adversity, well, I take it back. They did have to play tough against Virginia, which was a good game and a good win. Virginia is not Ohio State. The only team they played that was a good quality opponent, they lost to. Doesn't look good for Indiana. But, like I said, well, I didn't say this part. Ohio State is one of those teams where they always are going to get the best that all their Big Ten opponents can offer them, because they are the bullies of the Big Ten. Because they have won the Big Ten X amount of years straight back in the mid to late 2000s. They do strike the heart and hatred and anger in the teams they play, the Indianas of the world, the Illinois of the world, the recent years Michigans of the world, Maryland, Purdue, Minnesota. Those teams are going to give Ohio State the best they got. So, with that being said, that's why I give Indiana's puncher's chance to win this game, whether it's on the road or not. Indiana's played in Columbus before. Yeah, they're small. They don't have as big of a stadium as Ohio State, but they play in loud stadiums every year. They're in the Big Ten. The crowd noise aren't going to affect them as much as you would think, because they're in that conference. They play Ohio State every year. They're in their division. They know each other very well. When you know an opponent that well, you can take advantage of those things. You can understand what they're going to do and game plan around it. Now, if we look at each team's rushing stats, I like rushing stats because it tells you how much that team dominates the line of scrimmage. Now, one stat that comes out, just jumps out of the screen at me, is the amount of rushing yards Ohio State gives up per game. They've been historically a very good team against the rush. Not so much this year. Running per game, they're pretty good. 33rd in the country. Not bad. And you'll see their passing stats in a minute. You'll see why I say it's not bad. 210 rushing yards per game. Indiana gets 179 rushing yards per game. They aren't good against the run either, but Indiana has historically been not a great team on either side of the ball. Okay, but not great. And it showed in their record in the last 10 years. But Ohio State does seem to struggle against the run somewhat. That can be something for Indiana to consider. To use their run to set up the splash big passing plays later on in the game, if they can establish the run early. But that's how the teams look as far as their rushing statistics goes. And we'll look at their passing. This is where Ohio State makes their claim to fame. 346.6 yards of passing per game. That's unheard of in the last 3 years for Ohio State because J.T. Barrett was not a great passer. He was okay. He was not a great passer. He was a good runner, and he was perfect for the triple option, high-tempo, high-octane offense Ohio State has had the last few years. Well, Haskins isn't like that. Yes, he's got a running touchdown. Yes, he can run here and there. I'm not saying the man doesn't have athleticism, but that's not his game. He is a passer, and it shows in the stats. In Ohio State's defense, 47th against the pass. Not great, but not bad. But with Indiana's passing defense, they only give up an average 163.6 yards per game. But look at who they played. They haven't played teams that are air raid offenses, basically. They don't. So it's statistically speaking, it's not going to be that hard for them to only hold those teams to that many yards of passing per game because those teams don't pass anyway. So yes, that will show. But looking at the stats, I would say Indiana could have an advantage there because Ohio State likes to pass the ball and Indiana likes to shut down the pass. Statistically speaking, again, looking at the stats, I can say that. Looking beyond the stats and look at the teams they played, those teams don't throw the ball that much anyway. So I don't really know if you can really make a strong enough case that that's going to be a deciding factor in the game, but it could be. Indiana could shut the passing down. And Ohio State likes to do the short passes anyway, like it did against Penn State. So, that could be something. If you look at the offensive efficiency, time of possession, relatively even, but Ohio State's gotten a lot more first downs. They convert on third down half the amount of times that they get it on average. They've only turned the ball over 3 times this year. But one thing that can hurt Ohio State is they have also committed their fair share of penalties per game. 8.4 for 80.6 penalty yards per game. They're consistently leaving 80 yards on the field that they could be using on defense and offense. But they're leaving those 80 yards on the field. Self-imposed, that could come back to hurt. Maybe not in this game, but later on in the year, if they don't clean that up. Indiana, as you can see, not horribly efficient on offense. They turn the ball over too much. Third down conversion rate is okay. 46% isn't bad. But their penalties are also not great. Less than Ohio State, but they're still leaving 64 yards on the field. You want to get some of that. You don't want to do that against Ohio State. You don't need, as Indiana, you don't need to give Ohio State field position. You don't need to give them the ball through turning it over. You need to convert those third downs and keep Ohio State's offense off the field. And on defense, you need to get off the field and force Ohio State into 3-and-outs. We'll talk about the keys to the game later, but I'm just saying, just based on these stats, Indiana does not look good offensively against Ohio State. But Indiana does hold on to the ball a little bit longer than Ohio State, is on average as far as time of possession. That can help control the tempo of the game a little bit. Oh, I forgot. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, I led into my keys to victory. For Ohio State, their keys to victory. Have to allow Haskins time to throw the ball. If you look at Penn State, they brought the house. They knew Ohio State wanted to throw the ball. They knew that that's Ohio State's MO is throwing the ball. Well, they stopped that early in the game, and it showed because Ohio State wasn't able to do anything on offense. Consistently, 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. First down here and there, 3-and-out. Punt the ball. Interception. And on the flip side of that, the wide receivers also need to catch the ball. That one interception that Haskins threw went off his receiver's hands into the hands of the defender. That ball went right to that receiver. Can't blame Haskins for that pick, but stats will prove otherwise. He did throw it. That defender caught it, so he has an interception going against him. Just the way it is. Ohio State has to take care of the football as they have throughout the year. In 5 games, they only turned the ball over 3 times. They need to continue to do that against an Indiana team that could take advantage of that if they do start making mistakes early in turning the ball over. Also, Ohio State needs to stay out of 3rd and longs and consistently gain yards on first down. Maybe not run the ball every time, but get those short, quick passes to get some yards on first down. So you don't have 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and whatever. You want it to be consistently 3rd and 4 or less to give yourself the best chance to get that first down. I don't know the stats, but I would guess a team that's consistently in 3rd and 3, you're 3rd and 3 or whatever, low like that, you're going to convert probably at least 80% of the time, on average. I'm guessing, I don't know that. You can correct me if you'd like in the comments. Ohio State needs to control line of scrimmage. I don't know what I did there, but the 3 means the turnovers that Ohio State has committed. I don't know why I put that there. I apologize. I thought I'd comb through this slideshow, but I apologize. Anyway, Ohio State needs to control line of scrimmage. They need to shut down Indiana's rushing game early and force Indiana to beat Ohio State through the air. I don't think Indiana is capable of doing that. And Ohio State also needs to give the offense consistent, good starting field position through special teams. Good, solid, long-range punts like Ohio State has throughout the year so far. And reducing the amount of returns that Indiana gets. Now for Indiana. Real big important. I should have made this font way bigger. Indiana needs to keep Dwayne Haskins uncomfortable in the pocket. Bring an additional man in the box to blitz him and make him uncomfortable like Penn State did. If Penn State would have continued to do that, they might have also won that game. Story for another video. You keep Ohio State's defense on the field by converting on those 3rd downs. Consistently. Need to move the ball. I know it's simple and it sounds dumb. Yes, you need to move the ball to go down the field and win. I get that. But it does need to be stated because that is a key to the game, really, for both teams. Is to keep the other team's defense on the field. You want to gas them. You want to gas the Ohio State's defense. You want to demoralize them through getting consistent 3rd down conversions. If you're consistently converting on 3rd down, that's gut-wrenching for the defense. Because each time they think they're going to get off the field, and you get that first down. Then you get that first down. Then you get that first down. All the way up the field. I played football. I know how it feels on defense to consistently force that offense to the 3rd down and then give up the first down. It hurts. It sucks. And it makes you angry. And it makes you more prone to commit penalties later on in the game because you're frustrated. Indiana also needs to play disciplined football. They can't turn the ball over. They've done it 7 times this year. They cannot turn that ball over. And they can't continue to commit the penalties at the rate they have. They need to have those yards. They can't give up 64 yards of penalty yards. That's self-imposed. That's completely on them to control that. Same with turning the ball over. You have to hold on to the ball. You have to manage the game. Play disciplined football. Don't make mistakes. And on the flip side to that, they need to force Ohio State into making mistakes. They need to take advantage of those mistakes. They need to turn into 7 points, not 3 points. They need to score when Ohio State turns the ball over. They have to be able to take advantage of the mistakes and control the tempo of the game, forcing Ohio State into 3 and outs and controlling the clock on offense, keeping Ohio State's offense off the field. And for Indiana, last thing, you're in Columbus. You're in a hostile environment. Yeah, I know you play in Columbus every other year. You still need to play aggressive. You need to play with that underdog mentality. No one's picking us to win. I don't care. We'll play for each other. We can do this. We can win. You have to believe you can win. With a team like Indiana, you've been beaten so many years straight by Ohio State, you have to believe you can win. And a lot of times you don't truly believe you can win. You need to believe it. You need to believe you can win. You need to believe Ohio State's vulnerable in certain aspects, like protecting the quarterback. You need to take advantage of that. Now, interesting little tidbits. I know I've glassed over these here and there. The last time Indiana beat Ohio State was in 1990 in Bloomington. I was 3 years old, so yes, I'm 31 years old. It's a long time ago. That's before the players from either team was alive. And the coaches were quite a bit younger at that time. Last time Indiana beat Ohio State in Columbus, the year of my birth, 1987. Again, as a tough mental hurdle to cross, beating Ohio State in Columbus. But just like Kentucky and Florida, Kentucky beat Florida in the Swamp this year for the first time since the 70s. It can be done, but you have to play with that aggressive, not necessarily reckless abandon. You don't want to hurt yourself or the other team, but you want to play aggressive and you want to play hungry in order to do that. Ohio State isn't beaten against Indiana when Ohio State is ranked and Indiana is not. Ohio State's number 3, just in case you forgot. Indiana is not ranked. Again, not a statistical factor, but a factor that is there anyway. The last time both teams were ranked, which I thought this was kind of sad for Indiana, was when they played against each other in 1993. Ohio State won that game 23-17 in Columbus. There's a lot of factors in place that go against Indiana, and a lot of them that benefit Ohio State. And now comes the who to pick. Yes, it's probably an obvious pick. I am objective. I'm not a fan of either team necessarily, but objectively speaking, and not just the rankings, because I don't want to be one of those guys. Not just based on the stats, because I don't want to just rely on stats, because stats can't tell the whole story. I don't believe Indiana is strong enough on defense. I think they make too many mistakes on offense. They don't convert enough. I think they'll consistently put themselves in 3rd and longs, while Ohio State is consistently 3rd and short. I think Indiana will play Ohio State tough like they always do in that first half. They may even be winning at halftime. You never know. I think Ohio State will pull away again in the second half because they are a team of second half adjustments this year. And they're going to beat Indiana. A score, I'm thinking along the lines of maybe a 31-20 type of score. I do think Ohio State is going to beat Indiana by 10. So we'll just say 31-20. I have no basis for that score, it's just a guess. My basis for winning by 10 is because I think Ohio State's offense is too good. I think Indiana's defense is not strong enough. Yeah, Ohio State's defense isn't the strongest, especially with Nick Bosa being out, but they played well against Penn State. They played well. in the rest of the game, in that TCU game when Bosa did go out. I think they'll play well against Indiana. And I don't care if they're playing Indiana and Columbus or on the moon. I'm not giving Indiana a chance to win this game. I do think Indiana will make too many mistakes. I think they'll turn the ball over. I think Ohio State will take advantage of it. And they will beat Indiana again. So, better luck next year, Indiana, as far as my opinion goes. I appreciate you watching. I don't know how long this is taking, so I guess I'll find out when I'm editing. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed my spin on talking about sports. And I really do hope you let me know in the comment section what you think. I'm very open to criticisms. Compliments are fine. Trolling, whatever. You can do that if you want. I suck. You're stupid. Whatever. I don't care about that. If you have constructive criticism, maybe you think my stats are misleading. Maybe you think I'm wrong about something. Maybe you just are a diehard Indiana fan and you just want to say, no, I believe my team will win. I respect that. I do. I respect that. Objectively speaking, not being a fan of either team, I'm giving the edge to Ohio State here. It's just my opinion based on what I've seen and what I've seen the last few years. I don't think Indiana has much. I think they have a puncher's chance, like I said, but I don't think they'll go win this game because I think they'll make too many mistakes. That's it for me. Once I get more views, if I get some fans, I might post my contact information someplace, my social media, but for now, I'm just going to keep it light, simple, talking about sports. I'll have 3 more of these this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I will be talking next about Michigan and Maryland. Then it'll be Iowa and Minnesota. Battle for the Florida Rosedale, just to let you all know. And like I said, my non-Big Ten matchup of the week will be the Red River Shootout at high noon. Fitting, because there is in the state of Texas, right? High noon it will be. Number 19 Texas and number 7 Oklahoma in Dallas, as always. So, keep your eyes peeled for those videos. I appreciate it. I am Chris, and this has been Real Big Ten Football Talk +1 with Chris. Enjoy the rest of your day.